We've been getting a lot of fog this summer up here. It's like it used to be, but we haven't seen a summer like this or a winter like last winter for a long time.
So it's like the good old days now.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable because, the global warming scares me, to tell you the truth. The climate
Right?
has changed here on the coast so much.
With the fluctuations of the temperature being so drastic. Here in Las Vegas, it was 112 yesterday.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, and we never had wildfires up here in Northern California until about 5 years ago or whenever it was. Before that, you never heard of fires up here. In Southern California, yes, but not up here.
So, would you say that those fires have curtailed people's liberties, Scott?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of people were displaced. I did some work at Manzanita and Ukiah a few years ago, and there were people there who, had PTSD from the fires and were um, displaced from their homes. And it was just really quite a crisis.
There has been some talk about how there was a planned exodus, like that the government was part of a plan to get the people who were living in the forest out of the forest area so that they could be more easily monitored. I know there were a lot of people who had been living off the grid before those fires came so rampant through the forests that are now in shelters still, not having gotten reparations for the damages and the loss of house and property.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
From up around Paradise, there was a lot of people like that, I think.
we could call it a conspiracy theory, or we could call it, planned uh, monitoring and population control. But either way, it's a lot less of our freedoms than we had back before the fires. We're not even able to go into those burnt areas. A lot of them, they were still closed off, like last year, I recall. Was that your finding over where you're at?
Yeah. I just watched a video. I can't remember what I can't recall the title now, but it was very interesting. It was about COVID and how the powers that be, being an international group of extremely wealthy people who just did a lot of power and control manipulation of the masses. Of course, I wasn't surprised a bit because I always thought that's what it was, but I didn't know exactly who it was. And this video seemed to zero in on that.
Yeah. So, what do you see over there in Fort Bragg as far as like, are people getting out and celebrating today? Have you seen much of that?
Oh yeah, because the weather's conducive. I mean, there was just so much traffic in town. I have pretty much avoided the downtown area and any, events or anything because it's just super crowded.
But you've seen like celebration uh, decorations and stuff for the 4th of July and stuff.
Yeah, the fireworks and the salmon barbecue and all that. I guess it's all going pretty strong.
We've been driving around Las Vegas the past few days and have not really seen much in the way of like decorations, street decorations, and such for the 4th of July. And I know that there are a lot of other places where, you know, you would think they would have more of that going on, but there's not, it's not visible.
The community kind of stuff, huh? The good stuff,
Right.
the good celebration, and not just commercialized crap, right? Yeah.
That's kind of why I put on the title on Facebook, for with the $sign in parentheses. If you look at the keyboard, the number 4 is also the $sign.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that.
So I'm like, hey, you know, that sounds about right. Yeah. There's a lot of commercialization going on. Michael said he was in the car and was going to be coming in and out. What we were hoping to do today is talk about like some of the things that we each do or have done to reaffirm our freedoms, our liberties, and our rights, and maybe share some of our experiences for others to learn from, to explore with. And so I'm going to go first because I started the discussion and the questions. You know, as for my part, I still am a free person because of the way that I live. So I chose to live outside of a lot of the financial systems. Even recently, now Nate's been working, we're not even getting any welfare assistance and don't want to, you know, removing that crutch because it became more of a burden for us than it was worth. Pretty crystals. Nate?
Well, you've done a lot more than that, Lyra. But
Right,
you
I don't
know,
want
but yeah, I mean, you've done a whole heck of a lot more than that. But ultimately, this is where you're at. So it's like, congratulations. That's what we, you know, it's kind of like we want to remove those security guard. We want to remove those ties, those control systems. Anybody having the ability to control us in any way, financially, health wise, or otherwise, you know, we can be self-sufficient, and it's the road to self-sufficiency, and that's, you know, the pursuit of happiness. Because I'm deserted.
So, Misty, I see that you've got all these crystals out. You're doing a lot with crystals, and you have your own business. What would be the one thing you would like to share about, like, where you're at and in reaffirming your freedoms and your liberties?
Oh, well, number one, I didn't want to have a business. I wanted to just vent my things and go to events and share beautiful things. And, you know, I never intended to have a business, much less alone in a mall. Okay, but this just kind of happened, and I just held space for it and said, well, I guess I won't walk away if it's just pretty much going to be a gift. The trade-off is a lot of hard work, and actually right now a lot of debt, but it's okay. I love it because we're in such a good place. And but anyway, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at, to tell you the truth, after having gone through as much as I've gone through in personal toxic relationships, with which led to atrocities, you know, and devastation for me over and over and over again. And, you know, there just comes a point where we're like, you know what? No's a complete sentence. And there's, you know, along with toxic or narcissistic relationships, you know, this country is known as narcissistic. And just in general, everything. But we're changing that. That is changing. Consciousness is rising. And especially with this last, I mean, I don't know if you guys felt what has happened in the last couple of months, but there's definitely been a big shift in consciousness and people, you know, I think we need to share you have to know what your rights are to be able to assert them. You actually don't have any rights until you know what they are and are able to explain them. And that's interesting. So, you know, I've been talking with some people. I actually invited somebody to this call because we have the same vision of wanting to create some type of a school, you know, for 13 and up to learn and know what their rights are. That type of thing. So where I'm at is just about sharing resources. I can see the changes happening for sure. I recently had to go do more legal work, and gosh, I'm so grateful that I had the training I had when I, you know, with my situation within the court, family court, etc., because, you know, that prepared me for now, and I'm happy, I'm grateful, you know, but nobody's going to mess with me because I can be my own lawyer at this point, and that's a good thing. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's an affirmation of your freedoms and liberties, if ever there was one, I believe. When we have that education and information and knowledge, know-how of the way the legal system works, the way that we're able to protect our liberties, our freedoms, and our rights through legal processes and beyond, identifying those people, places, and things that are not healthy or are healthy, and choosing to have those more healthy experiences in our lives is also really a freeing thing. So I'm glad you were able to get that completed. No hit.
Oh, thank you so much, Lyra. I appreciate you. You're just, I appreciate you. There's nobody else like you.
Oh,
I mean, like really, when I look back at all the things that you have done, I am always in amazement. The things that you have created and held space for, and you know, all the things, like it's like a big wow, you know. But I'm not surprised because you're an amazing being, and I'm so grateful to know you, my soul sister.
well, thank you. And I am so grateful to know you as well, Misty, and see how much you have grown on this journey you have had of becoming more self-sufficient and independent. And that's what we can celebrate, is that perseverance that we've all experienced and all been a part of, you know, in finding ourselves, becoming more self-sufficient, self-reliant, taking back our own being, our own beingness. And that, you know, the curriculum that I have been working on building is all about that autonomy and how we can navigate through this world, which is like a game, without having all of the pitfalls, you know, so we can avoid those dangerous situations. And it's all about how we address it, identify it, and overcome it.
Well, you know, the thing of it is it just really, there's certain things that we need to know, of certain behaviors it's important to note. And once we see these certain behaviors, we need to be on alert, because it just really takes one time. one time of somebody doing something shady, real shady, and there doesn't need to be another time. That's where I'm at right now on everything with everybody. And it's amazing how good that feels. You know, really, it's just like, why do I have to give you 20 times to do the same thing over and over? It should take one time. We're done. You know?
Yep.
That's the lesson. And us in the communities, like, we have these wonderful hearts and we're so altruistic and compassionate, and we want everybody to be taken care of and to learn how to take care of themselves. But this is a real important lesson because there are certain people that are capable of doing certain things that will not change. And I don't know why. I know why. I do know why that is. But anyway, you know, and we just need to be aware of that. And we need to have the boundaries, be able to hold them, you know.
Yeah. How about you, Scott?
What's that?
I was wondering what you're doing right now in your life that is reaffirming your freedoms and liberties.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely doing that. It's with the whole Fort Bragg name change thing, you know. And again, this morning some guy had posted on our site. We have a new site up, I think, since I saw you last, called
Oh,
Fort Bragg Forever, which is, you know, the people who want to keep the name. And some guy was on there this morning. He said something about, you know, he thought that some form of the government was going to force a name change on the town, and he was immediately corrected by people in the know that that cannot happen, that the people of Fort Bragg get to vote and have the power to change the name or not. And most of the people don't want to change the name. We found that one guy, his name's Frank, and he's a journalist, and he did some research and found one town in the state of California that had changed its name, and how much trouble they went through and how expensive it was. And you know, it wasn't a good experience for those people in that town, not by any means. So anyway, I'm feeling pretty empowered with this group of people. We're going to do a float in the parade, for example, and pass out flyers and celebrate our town, our community. It's just really a good thing to be involved in right now. And it's relevant, I think, to the Great Works Alliance, you know.
and you want to tell everyone a little bit about why they were changing that? They were trying to change it to begin with.
Well, yes. It's part of the Southern Poverty Law Center's retire the rebel campaign, which, you know, in the South, for example, it's a very good example. They changed the name of a huge military base, which was also a community, that was Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And it had been incorporated after the Civil War. And, you know, it was the diehards in the South who continued to put up a lot of monuments after the Civil War and all that stuff, which I think was a kind of a lost cause, like they refer to it as the myth of the lost cause. But up here in Northern California, we got the name of our town. It was based on, it was chosen for a Mexican American War hero. You know, I mean, that wasn't a great thing either, but it's part of our history. and a subordinate of this guy, I don't know if he was just a captain or what back then, but he thought highly of the man. So when he came up here, he named the community after his commanding officer. And it was before the Civil War. You know what I mean? So for this whole campaign to come at us throwing money, you know, at the cause of changing the name of our community and all this stuff, we didn't even know the history or who it was named after. We just loved the place, and we grew up here. We went to school here. Fort Bragg schools, it's the Fort Bragg school district, you know, and so people from the South come up here, move into the community, and want to change the name. And there's only a small group of them, but they are backed by this huge organization that is doing a lot of work. I think it's like contract work for the Biden administration or whatever, you know, the Southern Poverty Law Center. And I called them. And somebody called me back and left a message and gave me like a case number, but I've yet to have a conversation with anybody about it. I don't think they want to have a conversation, but you know, it's just all fine, because I know that our community is empowered with deciding, you know, what we want as far as our name goes, and that we don't live in a country where they could just, you know, the government could come in and just change our name whether we liked it or not.
Right. And that's
So
quite an important thing for us, you know, here in America.
Right. And it, you know, that gives me faith, some faith again in our system, that we do have some freedom, you know, and that we can organize on the community level and have a positive effect, you know. So yeah, I'm
more of us are doing that every day.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. That was wonderful, and it's good to hear about how we're still in this country of where we do have our freedoms, and it's about standing up for it. It's about connecting in our communities, being able to work together on these different issues that are relevant to the area in which we live.
Yeah,
so,
very much so.
I'm very glad you're a part of that. We want to get more people involved in putting together groups, whether it's for, you know, name changes of a town or
whatever,
overhauling education, you know, or you know, improving public services in a community, helping people who are dealing with hard times, challenging times, and need more assistance. Housing. I was just working today on some of the missions that Nate and I and others have developed over the years on, you know, community for community projects and plans and improvement to help communities become thriving again. Because right now, that's the major thing we're in danger of, is thriving. Most people are just barely surviving. How do we flip this script and bring thriving back into community engagement and networking, working together? And there's just a lot that can be done on community levels, on grassroots, small group levels. And it just requires just a few people who have a passion for it to come together and have meetings, make plans, and have an action plan. So not just regular plans, but an action plan of step by step. How do we get a law changed, or how do we get another nonprofit organization that's bringing in good services in, and how do we remove those nonprofits that are not really not for profit, they're actually for personal profit. I mean,
Yeah, they're out there.
right? And Michael, are you able to share a little bit about what you're doing to affirm and reclaim your liberties and freedoms?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to mute this other. Sorry. For a minute there, it almost seemed like I had it together.
Well, you're getting there, right?
Okay. Hi, y'all. So, Mankinder is a 508c1a church ministry. It's a mission, it's a movement, it's a whatever you make of it, because it's just an empty box. And I need folks like y'all to pitch in and help Mankinder to activate its, at the very least, its slogan, strategies to strengthen mankind. When the California fires hit NorCal in October 2017 and then SoCal in December 2017, I realized, oh, Agenda 21's not coming. It's here. So that was 3 months of depressing research, figuring out who's on the front lines and actually understands what's actually going on in this world and will be willing to speak about it. Not just go to city council meetings going, why didn't you this, that, the other thing? Because the city council members, as far as I'm concerned, they may not be full, at least not the way we are. They don't seem to function in a way of, did you think they were going to say, oh, yeah, you're right. We didn't handle that very well. And after all, you good people of our town do pay our salaries. We're going to make that right. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. You ever heard anybody on a city council meeting speak like that? Not so pretty much.
20 plus years ago.
20, that was a long time ago.
Maybe, yeah, good. Okay. But, they might be killer robots or avatars or, AI. I don't know. Whatever they are, they're not on our side. So I'm not going to personally go debate them, but God bless the people that do, because there has been a lot of progress from the folks that fight the city council and push back against the mandates and the whatever. However, the flip side of that is the government doesn't seem to be legitimate. The mandates don't seem to have actual power over a free man or woman. So then how would one exit the matrix, as it were, and assert one's, whatever you want to call it, sovereignty, rights, individualism, whatever. And what I've seen is that there are so many diverse opinions on our side, because after all, we're all about freedom and independence and individuality, right? So is it any surprise that it's like herding cats? Everybody's got their own brand, their own thing. They're like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm like, I'm trying to help, but okay. So what we've seen is, at the very least, narcissistic behavior. I'm glad that narcissism was mentioned, I think, by Misty Lee. And I've had a close associate caution me that narcissism is trauma. So, okay, it's a trauma response. These are traumatized people who are passing on their trauma to you and don't know any other way because that's how they grew up. Kind of like me. I don't know any other way to be, because the way I grew up is me, mom, and dad were like a divine divinely guided trio of love and hugs and cuddles and kisses and joy and happiness. And all I know is how to love you guys and pass it on and say, hey, come on, kids, let's put on a show, because I'm a child of the advertising industry and I started on stage at age 5 doing stand-up comedy and singing. And so I'm still a clown and then has been wannabe rock and roll idiot. And I can play that role. And I say idiot intentionally because in law, you're an idiot if you don't understand your rights. And I don't. So for those who have been deferring to lawyers and attorneys, attorneying for them, surprise, surprise, they're in league with the judges and in league with the courts, and the whole thing is a whole scam to the tune of gazillions of dollars. I don't even think billions comes close. Sasha Stone put out a video just within the last couple of weeks, and I'm starting to share it out with people. Because, Sasha Stone is finally presenting solutions, not just complaints about the Babylonian blah, blah, blah. And he's got a gal on there. Wow, she was surprised. She was hoodwinked. She was jailed. And while she was in jail, this very articulate, very upscale looking woman learned some law. Holy cow. She figured out what the government was doing to you right from the parking tickets to the whole great grand scheme. And she's teaching a class through Sasha's thing. So cool. They're actually selling solutions, which is great because honestly, as much as a whole lot of our people are talking about, we don't need any paperwork. I'm free. I'm sovereign. Like, okay, how's that going to work? Are you sure it's going to work? Okay. And a whole lot of people are talking about, we don't need money. Like, okay, how do you pay your bills? How do you pay your landlord? How do you buy gasoline? I'm not clear on this. So I don't think we have those fully free systems. God bless the people who are saying, they're talking as though they're way in the future. Maybe they are. Maybe they're in a different dimension. They just appear to be in this same 3D dimension with me. They're actually a whole in the future where they don't need paperwork and they don't need dollars. God bless them. Unfortunately, I'm thinking maybe some of us still need some paperwork, and maybe some of us still need some of those green papers called dollars, right? I think they still Federal Reserve notes, whatever the hell. So, I'd rather not need them, but here we are. And Scott, by the way, kudos to you and yours because names mean a lot. And it's a very interesting scam that some of the systems have been pulling, trying to reframe history and reframe names. As you said, changing a name can be very costly, time-consuming, and confusing. And it's disorienting. We're changing the names of our genders and our preferences and our, global warming has become climate change, changed climate, geoengineered climate, whatever. But the words really do have a history and a resonance and an importance. So, anywho, the punchline, I would say, is that since the very beginning of my personal full-time truther journey, I started looking for where do we find each other? How do we organize each other and find each other and coordinate? Because I want to be able to travel to another city and find our people that have already agreed to our principles. By the way, the Mankinder principles are still not formed yet. Lyra and Nate are among the little first batch of people that are being invited when I have the right thing to say. And I've been meeting a lot of people. Things have really been ramping up lately. The energy's been getting good. But an advisory board of Mankinder so that I don't miss anything. And it's not coming from me. Mankinder's not supposed to be the Michael show. It's supposed to be the Mankind show. So that would mean you'd have representatives of Mankind saying, yes, I'm into that. How many people who have Black lives did they check in with before they came up with the agenda for Black Lives Matter, by the way? Just wondering. Anyway, so the movement for mankind will require involvement. And so I was looking for, where's the networking website where we can find each other on a map? And it turned out to be Freedom Cells. Other things have come and gone, and Freedom Cells is still there. Do I think that John Bush in particular is spot on with everything he's doing? No. But nor do I believe that Apple computer is all that I used to think it was. But I'm still using it because it works, and I'm used to using Apple stuff since 1985. I'm old, just turned 60, so I'm ancient. But I was always thinking that I was going to go to 120, so I just rebooted. So I'm at 0 again. So I know nothing.
I think Scott resembles that remark.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the money. I suggested to these guys that, you know, because they should turn in all their money that has slave owners on it, you know?
That's a funny thought. Yeah, right. Well, we could print our new stuff, you know, like Wayne Hicks's Liberty Dollar. He spoke at our event here, Liberty's Horizon in San Diego. That's one option, but I haven't compared them. I don't know jack from Bitcoin. It's over my head. But hey, a lot of people have made a lot of money with it. What would they like to invest that money into? Like saving mankind.
What's the value that's backing that coin or that dollar? That's going to be.
I can't speak accurately to Liberty Dollar exactly. I could give you a link if you haven't seen it. One thing they're doing is they're using rice as a commodity. That's like, I guess, in grain silos. It's over my head. I don't know.
That'd work.
Have you heard of seeds? So that's a test pilot that we've looked at, and what they're doing their value based on is crops and crop exchange. And then there's also hourly, or was it hourly or hour? Yeah, it's hourly, which is a online time bank that we've checked into, and I've done some work on that. I feel that it pales in value still, because there are other metrics that need to be identified and evaluated and then placed a value on. When we don't identify those core values, I mean, that's why what we do is talk about core values and virtues and strengths, is because when somebody is honorable and they have like coin showing their honor, like a coin that has been repeatedly given to them by multiple people who've worked with them, the value of their honor coin goes up. Whereas if somebody else has an honor coin and they're not getting anybody else wanting to identify them as honorable, they're not going to increase the value of that honor coin. So it's not a NFT, it's not a Bitcoin, it's value placed on the person's energy, the person's values and strengths, and how they express and exemplify them.
That's a great idea. I would love to help promulgate and whatever is needed on that.
Well, that's part of what we are putting together. So the game onboarding, the SoulSpark onboarding curriculum that I have almost completed and will be available through Udemy, gives a spreadsheet for people to evaluate themselves and identify where they're putting their time and energy, as well as what they're expressing in their virtues and strengths and how they're expressing. and how that then translates into a shared time bank that can be within a company or it can be within a group of people. And so everybody, it's that feedback loop, that peer-to-peer feedback loop. And that's just a part of what this playground is going to share, is just a brief overview of that. And I know Scott has signed up. I don't think you've signed up for the curriculum yet. I haven't really published it for people to sign up yet because I have a few more pieces, and I'm sorry, Scott, that I haven't been able to get it completed. I know we had scheduled for a couple of Saturdays ago to start working on this, but I promise you that I'm going to get it done soon. It'll be available this month of July, and it's called The Infinite Game On Soul Spark Autonomous Onboarding. It's a very long name. Anybody have suggestions to shorten it? Or does it need to be shortened?
Say it again.
Infinite Game On Soul Spark, and so that's the title, and the subtitle is Soul Spark Autonomous Onboarding.
That's the description.
I think
So at least it's SSAA. Can you shorten it? Can you just use less syllable? What are the letters?
IGO.
I go SSA.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, right? It's the I go.
I go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Daniela started a thing just real quick. It's not off topic because she started a new nonprofit called I Nature. I could do one called I Crystal. I like it. No, but yeah, can we work with that? Or can you work with that?
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't published it completely on Udemy. So, you know, I can still change stuff around.
Very cool.
And part of it is like, you know, a lot of people haven't really been able to take the time to explore their own passions and their own dreams in a way that they can make sense of, you know. And so what we want to do is provide a space where people can create their own dream boards and make goals that they can then put on a whiteboard and develop out their story from point A to point Z, how we're getting there, right? Getting to accomplish that dream. And that's, you know, all about, again, that autonomy, that independence, that ability for us to be able to take back our own sovereignty and our own identity and take charge of these actions and activities to improve our lives. It's like nobody else is telling us what steps to take for a thriving life. And everybody's path is going to be different. But if we have some tools that we can share with people in identifying some of these factors and then give them the questions, it's really about the questions, I think, more than anything else. That's what I've been noticing when developing this curriculum. It's like, what questions are going to evoke an answer that gets them thinking for themselves about them, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, Michael, you're always welcome to see what we got going on. I don't know if you're on LinkedIn. I know Scott is. I sent you an invite and you got into the group on LinkedIn, right, Scott? You're one of the few people that is into that group. So there's another lady, she has a program, it's called a coach accountability program. It's for coaches to be able to help follow the people that have signed up for their courses and give them encouragement and show, and help them in progression on their path of empowerment or whatever they're going for. And so, we're looking at working with her and putting some of this maybe in that ecosystem, seeing if we can, what is it called? Meld some of these concepts together to be able to provide some real metrics for people to see in their progress in their own lives and in the lives of those they care about who want to play, want to be in that same kind of field, whether it's a game, whether it's, just a progress meter, whatever name you want to call it. It's all about let's help with enabling others to thrive, because when you thrive, we all thrive.
Well, unfortunately, y'all, I gotta jump to a Carrie Madej call. But thank you all so much, and so glad you guys have been keeping at it. We've known each other for a long time, and we're all taking steps toward achievement. By the way, if anybody's interested in any of these topics of status correction, like to become a national or have a PMA, a 508c1a ministry as I do, I am still dubious about the efficacy of any and all of those systems. So I'm still figuring it out. Just because I have something, kind of like I still have a driver's license, doesn't mean I'm convinced that it's the best thing. So I'm still trying to figure this stuff out, and we will be having more. I've taken a hiatus from my online video calls, but I will be having more again soon. I'm putting improvements into everything I'm doing so that it's worth doing. But our entire point is we have to be of service to you, or there's no point in my doing anything. So.
And we are here to help you, Michael. And, if we can schedule, I would like to see if we can have some roundtable discussions once a week on a myriad of topics. I know you have the focus groups that you have already talking about different sovereignty methods, different steps to go and claim your sovereign national authority and identity and stuff. And then, let's see, maybe there's some other things we can do, like how does a community come together to reaffirm their community sovereignty?
Yep.
There's the
Essential.
individual, but if you just have individuals going for sovereignty and you don't have a group of people to support you, then really how sovereign are you?
Agreed. And that's why I say freedom cells. Everybody, please have a freedom cell account. Send me a link to it. And then we can maximize that. It's just the place to be. Like I'm using an iPhone because I don't have something better, but then through that, and partly because Derek and John are so gung-ho and they're always doing big stuff, whether it's perfect or not, doesn't matter to me. It's on the right track, they're not pumping for Beelzebub. So I'm like, cool. So then once that's happening, then we have a whole postcard and flyer and little business cards campaign kind of concept that we will again need input on. Like, what's our message? What are our bullet points? What are our principles? And then we can put that out there and bring people in and help people find each other. And then we have some leverage. Anyway, got to run. Thank you all.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks.
I'll be sure to put your information in the video when I have it published, okay?
Opie dopey.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a
Cheers.
great
I
Fourth.
put it in the chat. Cheers.
Yep.
You too.
Cheers.
Yeah, I'm not so into the fireworks, bombs bursting in air. Can we stop? Cheers.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to come together, and I hope that we can do this again soon. Hopefully the weather will be better and we'll be able to have a meeting in more of an office setting.
Well, I sure enjoyed this. I'm so glad that it worked out. I am actually plugging in at the nick of time right before my battery's gonna die. Let me turn it around. If I could find that. I think the best thing to do is make a regular thing of it. Lyra, if you yeah.
That's the 4th of July celebration declaration then.
Ah, there we go. Okay, I like it. For some reason I can't there.
So is Monday a good day, or would another day be better? Wait, today is Tuesday. Okay, so yeah, maybe Tuesdays around 4, a little later, 1 hour.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that for sure. I like Tuesdays. I was thinking about doing another thing on Mondays or moon days. Kind of women oriented, related.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that because we need to have a group for women of the great game and men of
Yes.
the game. And Nate's working on putting together.
Wait. Oh no, you need the androgynous too. Then
Oh,
you must.
right.
You must. You must. If you identify as androgynous, then you're this because that's a whole other group of complete so that people overlook a lot.
Well,
The format will be compatible with someone that wants to take up that third leg that's like there in between and unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
this is about all of us working together. It takes more than just 1 or 2 individuals to create connections, contact information, share and host and manage these groups. And I really hope that we can all work on the curriculum Miro board soon. So Scott Misty is planning on attending that course as well. And, we'll just go through it. I've been doing a lot of work on missions that are, what is it? In the queue, missions that are in development, and then missions that are completed. And these go or on deck.
Yeah, be on deck, just not quite implemented, ready to go. Yeah.
But the different ways, the different outreach, the different components to making something work within a community, being able to provide those support structures and infrastructure, the framework for, like, Scott, you probably have a lot of people that you work with in this effort to keep Fort Bragg, right? And everybody has a specific role that they fill.
Yes.
So that's being able to take notes during meetings, or get the forms that need to be filled out, or do the research into what our history for Fort Bragg is, and like all of these different components. A person had to take on that role, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's with anything, whether we want to change or reaffirm what is already in place. This is a part of the process of adulting, I believe, in community format. So yeah, no, let's see if we can do that. Get some more people on board.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I will send both of you links to the Freedom Cell Network. We are members of the Freedom Cell Network. We haven't really dived into it recently because we've been working on other components. But it's a good place to start talking with people. It's kind of like LinkedIn, only more focused on community engagement. So each Freedom Cell is a community organization or group of people that are coming together to reaffirm their freedoms and liberties and to help educate others in those actions that need to be taken to do so.
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Yay! Yay, I'm so excited. Yay!
And then
Woo! Freedom
the-
celebrations.
And then the thing that we want to be able to encourage people to do is become even more involved as we develop a decentralized database system that has and working space that has metrics built into it, like we've been talking about today. Whether it's honor, integrity, trustworthy, compassionate, etc. All of those will be a part of that framework that we're right now developing. Nate is in charge of that right now.
So Scott,
Yeah.
I'm dying to be able to bring you in, and I want to give you an update that it's going to be a little while, but please keep an ear out for people that are most applicable to help contribute to the project developing further. And please also, you too, Misty, like programmers, primarily like full stack development, but PHP, if they don't feel that they fit in that area, that are familiar with Docker and Kubernetes and stuff like that. Just keywords to keep in mind, because I know neither of you are focusing in that area, but we have the platform up in the sky, up in the cloud, right? We have a cloud server up. We're working on localized servers, integrating the app. We're using pre-existing software from open source that's kind of like a huge Nexus hub, hugely compatible with all kinds of stuff. We're currently working through trying to get all the hard stuff taken care of on the networking side, where we've got great security that's going to be applicable for small to mid-sized businesses, yet very appealing to large corporate businesses. We're going to be focusing towards consultancy groups or firms or agents. We already have a few interested in and on board. Our full stack developers actually has some consultancy organization right now that he's making little tweaks to graft his stack of technology that's worked for his clients and integrating that into the platform and being able to use that to act like a stepping stone to offer more services. We want to bring in the revenue streams, right? And show them how we're able to uniquely use the data because unique data is a big deal in the tech ecosystem. And we're going to use that to filter invitations to different organizations, groups, philanthropists, pretty much any kind of client into a network of other people that are like-minded. So we're filtering out the people that don't pass the muster. The door's always open if they want to, but we need to be concerned with and connecting with other people of closest like mind and route them over to these different specialties of, hey, you need a support group. Great. You need to connect with psychologists and counselors. Great. You need to connect with techies over in this area for like distributed compute processing. Great. We could just cover all those different bases, but start with the people that are in our network that are most oriented and credible in contributing to that. Because most people are just gonna say, "Yeah, I'm into it. Show me the information," but you never heard from them again.
Yeah.
And for
All
next
right.
week, I would like both of you to consider what questions we could present for the people that join in, so that we can, I mean, like today, it was very focused on how we reaffirm and are acting within our liberties and our freedoms and our rights, and identifying historical background, which you did, you know, with the Fort Bragg incident. and so, you know, it's we want to be able to just be really focused on one subject, one topic that we can that is pressing. But we're not just talking about the transgender phobia issues or any of these current buzzwords going around. It's more like we want to be talking about the things that really enable people to thrive, and you know, what kind of actions that we're all taking in how we're thriving, whether it is from the viewpoint of the virtues and strengths or specific projects, which we can then identify virtues and strengths within, or, you know, regenerative and sustainable goals that we might need to be having more roundtable discussions around. This is all about that roundtable discussion format, which we used to have a lot of. Where did it all go?
Yeah.
Now we just have the talking heads telling us everything. That doesn't compute. Sorry, it does not compute. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right. So next week, huh?
Yes, sir.
4 o'clock.
Yes, sir. So I will make sure to have that information available by the end of this week.
All right.
All right. Thank you so
Sounds
much.
good. All right.
Happy 4th.
Happy
Well,
4th.
man,
Live long and prosper.
Happy 4th. Live long and prosper, for sure.
Right?
Remember your perfect state of health, wealth, and being.
Indeed. All about thriving. You have a great afternoon, Misty.
Gosh, you too. This worked out perfectly, Lyra. I look forward to seeing you and your wonderful partner again very soon. Thank you so much.
Next week. All right. Bye.
Bye.